As the two crews on the shuttle station complex enjoy their day off today, it sets the stage for the resumption of full board activity tomorrow. The main activity on tap for tomorrow will be the grappling and removal of the Japanese exposed logistics platform from the front end of the newly installed exposed facility. It is that jelly, as it is known, the logistics exposed section that contained the trio of Japanese experiments that subsequently were attached to the exposed facility, which is now a permanent fixture at the back porch of the Kibo module, the Japanese segment of the International Space Station. With its job now complete, the exposed section, basically a carrier for those experiments, will be removed from the exposed facility, which is the permanent section, and that exposed experiment platform will be rebirthed in Endeavour's cargo bay. That activity coming up tomorrow. With that having been completed tomorrow, it sets the stage for the fifth and final spacewalk of the mission to be conducted on Monday by Tom Marshburn and Chris Cassidy as they emerge from the Quest airlock of the International Space Station one final time. They will conduct a variety of activities, including the removal of some thermal protection covers from the Dexter special purpose dexterous manipulator, the robot that is mounted on the hull of the Destiny Laboratory of the International Space Station, which will be used later this year for autonomous replacement of some orbital replacement unit components on the truss of the International Space Station. Chris Cassidy plans to reconfigure some electrical cables on the Z1 truss of the International Space Station to basically split out the electrical channels that govern electrical power for the control moment gyroscopes on the International Space Station that use electrical momentum as opposed to propulsive capability to maintain the correct orientation for the International Space Station as it travels in orbit. The two crew members will work in tandem to install a pair of cameras called the VEs, or Vision Equipment Cameras, both forward and aft on the new Japanese exposed facility on the Kibo module. That will be instrumental in providing camera views of those experiments, as well as visual cues for the arrival of the H2 transfer vehicle, the new Japanese unpiloted HTV, as it is called, following its launch in September from the Tanegashima Space Center in Japan, which will make an automated rendezvous with the International Space Station, then will be grappled out of orbit by the station's robotic arm, the Canadarm2, and berthed on the nadir port of the Harmony node of the International Space Station. Those two cameras will be installed on the fifth and final spacewalk of the mission on Monday by Marshburn and Cassidy. The crew members had a brief tag-up with the station flight control team about an hour and a half ago to review some of the procedures and the prioritization of the tasks associated with the fifth and final spacewalk of the mission. Everything is set to go now with the removal of those thermal insulation covers on the Dexter, the reconfiguration of the electrical cables on the Z1 patch panel, and the installation of those two cameras on the Japanese exposed facility that now houses three brand new experiments to gather data as they are exposed for a long duration period of time to the environment of space. If time permits, at the back end of that fifth and final spacewalk, the two crew members will attempt to deploy a payload attachment system, basically a cargo holder, on the S3 or starboard 3 truss of the International Space Station that will be required to house critical spare parts and logistical items later this year when the STS-129 mission arrives aboard Atlantis at the International Space Station. Meanwhile, a great view of the serenity of the South Pacific from the shuttle station complex. And again, you're looking at one of the Two Soyuz vehicles mated to its docking port on the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Those two Soyuz vehicles being the return craft for the 6 crew members that comprise the station crew. Padalka, Barrett, and Kopra belonged to one vehicle. Romanenko, Thirsk, and Dewina belonged to the other vehicle. A good view of the Harmony connecting node in the middle of your screen. On either side of the node, the European Columbus module and the Japanese Kibo module, and now a view down to the black conical port that is called pressurized mating adapter number 2, essentially the forward docking port on Harmony, which is latched up, of course, to the orbiter docking system on Endeavour. Forming a hard mate and a tight seal between the two vehicles to permit the 13 crew members of the two crews to conduct their business. An off-duty day for the crew, as mentioned before, as they gear up for additional robotics work on Sunday to rebirth in Endeavour's cargo bay the exposed section based